Hello, this is Chris Walker with Big Angie Fan Channel here in beautiful Hawaii. Back with another in my series of A to Z Angelina Jordan reactions based on the 132 song compilation made by Rusty Shackleford. Okay, now we're here at one of the biggies of all time. I Put a Spell on You, one of the two most reacted to songs by her for good reason. But because it has been reacted to so often before, I'm going to try and do things differently. One thing I'm going to do differently is focus a lot more on the visual aspect of it. I don't think people talk nearly enough about how good it is visually. So let's get started here. First of all, they give us a lot of information on this first part about how she changes the lyrics to the song. She's kind of at home with a bunch of other people. She shows us that that's Screamin'Jay Hawkins there, that she's doing a song, a version of. So one thing about this is there's a lot of close-ups of her that are really iconic in terms of the expressions that they show her having. I think it's the single video that really captures just the expressiveness of her face, as she's performing. And it's done in a style that is it's meant to remind you of a home movie. It's handheld, but it's handheld in a professional way, this is something that was kind of pioneered by MTV, I think, back in the 80s and 90s, where they make it look like it was an amateur filming it, but it's really not an amateur. So the jerky camera is only jerky up to a degree to give you that sense of immediacy, like, that this isn't staged or anything. But at the same time, it's more smooth and easy to watch than an actual amateur video. And there's just many examples of iconic shots throughout this. So let's continue on. Like that one with her hands, the way she's... Another great shot there. You're mine. Stop the things you do. The way she holds her pen up like that. You can watch some of this in like at half speed. Let's just appreciate some of these shots for all that's going on. So you see the intensity of her expression, the way it shows her pen come up like that there, keeping time with the music, and then just the way she holds her mouth there. It's so intense. And there's just shot after shot that is like this in this. Like that's another wonderful, wonderful cinematic shot. It's it's a little bit jerky to give that amateur feeling, that immediacy, but at the same time, it's done. It's very professional. This one too. Okay, well, let's get back to the music part though. But just throughout this, people never talk about this. They're getting so into the music part of it, which of course is fantastic, that they're that they don't really say anything about how good the video is. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, so let's back up a little. I ain't lying. Of course, people hearing this for the first time are blown away by this growling. Another wonderful shot there. Now hear how she spreads out her hands like that. It's great. Okay, now another thing that I want to talk about that's different from what a lot of people talk about is the connection with Screamin'Jay Hawkins. A lot of the reviewers going into this, don't know that the original is Screamin'Jay Hawkins at all, but even the ones that do, they don't really talk that much about the spin that she puts on it. She is being very faithful to the original in some ways, but not in other ways. And the ways that she's not faithful to it are really smart, and then the ways that she is faithful to it are really smart. So here is this is a mashup that I put together. I want to show how there's all these theatrical elements that he had in his version. They're always a little bit different in the different live shows, but those elements have not aged well, and people, like when they're watching a live performance, you'll hear people laughing, and she doesn't do that. But so let's look at the different approaches here. See, now that's not in her version, of course, the licking the lips or anything like that. Of course, here the beat is faster than in her version, but he has other versions that are quite a bit slower.
I put a spell on you. Cause you're mine.
Now that was very close to what he did.
Not the things you do. Watch out!
So all of that section of like the kind of scream there, and the hey, that might be something that you thought that Angelina put in there, but actually she was recreating that from Screamin'Jay's version. I think she's keeping all of the intensity of expression, but jettisoning the parts that that just seem too overly campy and theatrical and have not aged well. So let's go back to her version here. Another great shot there. Nodding her head with the music.
Things you do. Hey, what's up? I ain't lying.
All of this is very much like Screamin'Jay. Of course, that growling was something we haven't heard in subsequent versions, and that might have something to do with vocal coaches telling her that's a good way to destroy her voice. So that's kind of a one-off thing there. Oh, that's a good still frame. Another thing about this, that a lot of the reactors, they kind of get blown away by this kind of intense vocalizing at the beginning, and they don't talk enough about the wonderful slower runs that she does towards the end, and kind of the second kind of slower half of the song.
I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right now. I put a spell on you because you're mine.
This is another iconic shot here. The way now you see there's a shot that it's designed kind of to look like an amateur videographer was there, kind of going in and out on the face, what they call like an unmotivated dolly shot. But in this case, it really, although it's trying to look like that, it actually is very motivated. You do it is kind of showing her expressiveness more by doing it that way. So just brilliant cinematography in this, and almost nobody ever talks very much at all about the cinematography in this, and that's so that's why I thought it was important to talk about it, because it's both the singing and the visual aspect of this that makes it so great. I think this is her best video of all, because it's both a great visual video and, of course, great singing. Now this last part,
I don't care if you don't want me.
now one thing about that run there that only a few people have mentioned is that you can hear a lot of Middle Eastern influence there. Like, she does have her Persian bloodline, and you can hear a lot of the Middle Eastern singing style there.
If you don't want me, I'm yours right
Well, especially that part right there. And of course she holds that out a really long time too. That's another impressive thing about it. So that is real, very, very impressive singing, and it's one reason why I've thought that, given other circumstances, I could see Angelina Jordan actually as even tackling flamenco singing, because they have a style of flamenco singing called cante hondo, which I came to know in Spain, which is, again, it's this kind of this very, very emotional singing. And of course, Angelina Jordan is so great at bringing out the emotion. So let's listen to this. This is a very famous flamenco singer here. I think if you listen to this, you can imagine Angelina Jordan, pulling off a version of this. And of course, it's just a simple musical accompaniment there. So I think Angelina Jordan, that's one of the things about her genius that isn't talked about enough. How she can just use all these different styles of music, but in a way that doesn't sound forced. That I could really see her as a flamenco singer. If she'd been more exposed to flamenco music. Let's just replay these last two brilliant runs at the end here.
I don't care.
And again, great photography.
If you don't want me,
The hand.
I'm yours right now.
And this last pensive look at the end. So this director here, Per Hamley, she needs to do more with him, because this is just a brilliantly directed video. Okay, so that was the great Angelina Jordan doing one of her greatest versions of a song. My wife just came in here. Okay, so this has been Chris Walker with Big Angie Fan Channel. I think you're not in a shot. You gotta. And this is my wife who just came home from a party.
Hello.
Okay, aloha from Hawaii.
Aloha from Hawaii.
Bye.